A soft blue light shining above him, warm and gentle, like a sunrise he could not remember. When his eyes opened, everything felt blurry. The room around him looked like a living dream, walls that glowed like crystals, machines that pulsed with quiet heartbeats, and cold mist floating in the air. For a long moment, Evan did not know who he was, where he was, or even if he was alive. He tried to breathe. His chest hurt. His arms felt heavy. His legs felt like stones. His throat was dry, as if he had not spoken in years. Then he heard footsteps. Soft, careful, almost afraid. A tall alien woman stepped into view. Her skin was pale silver blue, shining like moonlight. Her eyes glowed softly. Her hair fell like liquid light down her shoulders. She wore a simple white uniform with glowing symbols on the chest. She leaned forward quickly, her voice trembling. "Careful, human. Please, don't try to move too fast." She placed a gentle hand on his shoulder. "You've been in a coma for over 20 years. Evan froze out. 20 years? He blinked hard, thinking maybe he misheard her. But the alien woman, Supervisor Lyra, looked deadly serious. Her eyes were full of worry, almost fear. He tried to speak, but only a broken whisper came out. 20 years? No, that can't be." Lyra shook her head softly. "I know it is difficult to accept, but you must stay calm. Your body is weak. Your mind is still stabilizing." Evan felt panic rising in his chest. Memories flashed like broken pieces. Earth, a ship, a mission, a blinding explosion. Then nothing but darkness. He pushed himself up slightly. His muscles burned. His vision spun. Lyra immediately grabbed his arms. "No, don't sit up yet," she whispered sharply. "Your body will collapse." But Evan forced himself to speak again. "Where am I?" Lyra looked toward the door, checking if anyone was listening. Then she leaned close and whispered, "You are in the Kyrix recovery facility. This is a restricted station. Only supervisors like me are allowed here." Her tone dropped even lower. "And you are the only human." Evan's heart pounded. "Why? What happened to me?" Lyra hesitated. Her hands shook. "That information is restricted. I shouldn't even be talking to you like this." He stared at her. Even with her alien features, she looked deeply worried for him. That confused him even more. "Please," he whispered. "I don't even remember my own last day." Lyra swallowed hard. She wanted to tell him something, but she kept looking at the door, afraid someone might come inside. Before she could answer, the room lights flickered. A deep metallic sound echoed through the hallway outside. Heavy footsteps. Getting closer. Lyra's eyes widened with fear. She quickly pressed a button and lowered Evan back onto the bed. Machine started making soft beeping noises. A transparent bioglass shield slid into place around him. She whispered hurriedly, "Evan, listen to me. You must pretend to be unconscious. Right now." "If they find you awake," the door opened before she finished. 2 tall alien guards entered. Their armor was dark and sharp, glowing red at the edges. Their faces were hidden behind reflective helmets. Their eyes scanned the room like cold machines. One guard stepped forward. "Supervisor Lyra, status of the creature?" Lyra bowed her head slightly. "No change, sir. The human remains fully unconscious. No brain activity above baseline." Evan kept his eyes closed, forcing himself to stay still. The guard walked to the side of his pod and inspected the monitors. Evan could feel his presence like a shadow hovering over him. Then the guard spoke again. "If the human wakes up prematurely, you know the protocol." Lyra's voice cracked. "Yes, I know." The guards left. The door slid shut. The moment they were gone, Lyra rushed back to Evan and tapped a command to lift the bioglass. She whispered, voice shaking, "Are you all right? Did you move? Did they notice anything?" Evan shook his head weakly. What What'd they do if they found out I was awake? Lyra looked away, her eyes full of guilt. They would erase you. Evan felt a cold rush through his whole body. Erase me, why? Lyra stepped even closer, lowering her voice until it was almost a breath. Because you were not supposed to wake up at all. The truth about your past is dangerous. Someone wants you gone. Evan tried to process her words, but everything felt unreal. Then why are you helping me? He whispered. Lyra hesitated. I don't know, she said softly, but when I look at you, I cannot let them harm you again. Again? Evan's breath caught. What happened to me 20 years ago? He whispered, Lyra's eyes filled with sadness. I cannot tell you here. The walls have ears, but you must trust me. You must regain your strength, and when the time is right, she placed her hand on his chest gently. I will help you escape. Evan stared at her, confused, terrified, but also strangely comforted. In this alien world, this alien woman was the only one standing between him and death. Lyra leaned close, whispering one last warning. Do not let anyone know you're awake. Not yet, your life depends on it. The hook ends with Evan lying still, staring at the ceiling. Realizing he has no idea who wants him dead, why an alien is protecting him, or what awful truth lies buried in his missing 20 years, Lyra waited until the hallway was silent again. Only then did she let out a shaky breath. She turned back to Evan with the same worried look she had since he woke up. Her hands trembled while she adjusted the scanner around his bed. You must move slowly, she whispered. Your muscles are weak, but you need to learn how to use your body again before someone else comes. Evan nodded. Every part of him hurt, but curiosity and fear kept him awake. Lyra slid an arm under his back and helped him sit up. The pain was sharp, but not enough to stop him. His legs were shaking like they didn't belong to him. How long have you been watching over me? Evan asked. Lyra hesitated before answering. Since the day you arrived here, 20 years ago. Evan stared at her. 20 years? And you watched me all that time? Why? Her eyes dropped to the floor. It was my assignment, but after some time, it became more than that. He didn't understand, but this was not the moment to ask. Lyra guided him to place his feet on the soft floor. The surface adjusted itself like some kind of living material, warming and supporting his weight. Try to stand, she whispered. Evan grabbed her arm for balance. His legs wobbled violently. Lyra wrapped one arm around him and steadied him. Good, she whispered. Slow breaths. Your muscles. Remember, your mind just needs time. He took a few shaky steps. Every movement was painful, but also full of determination. Suddenly, he stopped. A thought flashed in his mind like lightning. Lyra, you said I wasn't supposed to wake up. What did you mean? Lyra took a long breath. Her eyes moved to the door again, checking if anyone was near. Then she spoke in a low voice. The Kyrix High Council declared you a non-recoverable biological asset. That means they expected you to stay unconscious forever. They never prepared for this. Evan felt cold inside. So they want me dead? Lyra shook her head. Not dead, erased. There is a difference. Erase means all records removed, your body recycled, your history deleted from the system, as if you never existed. The words made Evan's stomach twist. Why? He whispered. Lyra looked directly at him, and in her eyes he saw something deeper, fear mixed with a hidden truth. Because what happened to you 20 years ago was not an accident. Evan's heart pounded. What happened? Tell me. Lyra shut her eyes tightly, as if fighting herself. There was a battle. A ship, your ship. It was destroyed near our territory. You were the only survivor. Evan felt the world spin. A battle? With who? Humans and Kyrix fought? Lyra shook her head quickly. No, not Kyrix, someone else. But the files I saw, they were heavily redacted. Someone higher than me doesn't want the truth known, even to our own people. She looked at Evan again. But one thing is clear, someone tried to kill you. And they almost succeeded. Evan felt a chill run through him. So, I wasn't saved out of kindness, I was stored. Lyra nodded, and monitored, and silenced. Evan took another shaky step, gripping her arm. Why did you protect me? Why lie to the guards? Lyra hesitated, but this time she did not look away. Because the day you arrived, the medic said you were too damaged to be saved. But I saw your mind flicker. A memory, a spark. You were still fighting. No human I've ever seen fought like that. She paused, voice trembling. And because, in 20 years, you never had a visitor. No one asked about you. No one fought for you. So I did. Evan didn't know what to say. Gratitude, confusion, fear, everything mixed inside him. He placed a weak hand on her shoulder. Thank you. Lyra. She froze, surprised by the touch. Her skin glowed faintly where his hand rested. But before either of them could say another word, an alarm echoed down the hallway. A deep metallic voice spoke over the speakers. Supervisor Lyra, report to Sector 9 immediately. Emergency review. Lyra's face turned pale. They're checking my logs, she whispered. If they discover you moved, or that I talked to you, what will happen? Evan asked. Lyra answered without looking at him. They will take you away, and they will punish me. The fear in her voice made Evan clench his jaw. What do we do? Lyra grabbed his hands. You must pretend to be unconscious again. I will delete evidence while I'm gone. But Evan. Her voice dropped. If I fail, you must escape on your own. Evan lay back down, heart pounding as she lowered the bioglass around him. Lyra whispered one final line before leaving. I don't know why you survived, Evan, but I will not let them erase you, not again. The door closed behind her, leaving Evan alone with only the sound of machines. And a terrifying new question. If someone tried to kill him 20 years ago, did they know he was finally awake? Evan lay still inside the bioglass pod, but his mind was racing. The machines hummed quietly, casting soft blue shadows across the crystal walls. Every second felt longer than the 20 years he had lost. He kept replaying Lyra's words in his head. Someone tried to kill you. If they find out you're awake, they will erase you. He tried to breathe slowly, but fear sat heavy on his chest. Then he heard something, a faint clicking sound behind the bed. Evan opened one eye slightly. A small maintenance drone hovered near the corner of the room. It scanned the area with a thin red beam, then floated lower, toward a hidden panel under his bed. Evan froze. The drone extended a tool and unlocked the panel automatically. It had no idea the human was awake. Inside the open panel was a stack of holographic data chips, medical logs, system reports, and something else. A dark red chip marked with a human symbol. The same symbol Evan remembered from Earth missions. His heart jumped. Without thinking, he slowly slid his hand down the side of the pod. His fingers reached the panel. Every movement was slow, quiet, careful. One wrong sound and the drone might alert the guards. He grabbed the red chip. The drone scanned again, not noticing the missing object, and floated away. Evan held the chip in his shaking hand. A strange warmth pulsed through it, like it recognized him. He whispered softly, "What are you?" He tapped it against the pod's internal console. The glass flickered. Light rushed across the screen. And then words appeared. Access granted. Evan Raston Earthstrike Commander status, classified. Patient age, unknown mission file. Afara GM Ant VD. Evan felt his throat tighten. Commander? He had been a commander? Memories flickered like sparks. Orders, uniforms, stars, a ship named the Horizon, and then an explosion. But everything was broken. He opened the first file. It showed a report dated 20 years ago. Human vessel Horizon. Destroyed by unknown attackers. Only one survivor retrieved. Identity: Commander Evan Raston. Condition: critical. Cause of incident: classified by Order Level 7. Survivor to be kept in stasis until further notice. His heart pounded. Unknown attackers. Classified by highest order. Why? He opened the next file. This one was stranger, not official. A personal note from someone labeled Medical Officer L12. Subject displays unusual neurological activity. Memory patterns appear tampered. This was not a natural coma. Someone interfered. Tampered? Someone tampered with his brain? Before he could read more, the pod lights flickered again. Evan quickly hid the chip under the thin blanket. The door slid open. 2 guards stepped inside, their red armor glowing. Evan kept his eyes shut. 1 guard scanned the room. No irregular activity detected, the device reported. The second guard walked closer to the pod. Evan felt his heavy footsteps. Supervisor Lyra left her station suddenly, the guard said. Suspicious behavior. The other guard responded in a metallic voice. Her loyalty is weak. She shows too much interest in the human. If her logs show any violation, Evan held his breath. Interest? Violation? What were they planning to do to her? The guards left as silently as they came. The moment the door closed, Evan sat up and pulled out the red chip again. He needed answers. He opened the last unlocked file. It was a message, recorded 20 years ago. Only audio. Evan pressed play. A voice crackled through the tiny speakers, distorted, panicked, human. If anyone finds this, stop the mission. The Horizon wasn't destroyed in battle. We were. Static burst through the room. Evan leaned closer, desperate. The voice returned. For a second, they wanted him. Only him. Another burst. Then silence. Then the final words. Don't trust the Kyrex. Don't trust. The file ended abruptly. Evan stared at the screen, his stomach twisting. They wanted him? Who? Why him? And the most terrifying question: why did the recording call the aliens dangerous when Lyra had saved his life again and again? Suddenly the room lights flashed red. Warning. Unauthorized file access detected. Security supervisor. Dispatched. Evan's blood turned cold. They knew. He quickly hid the chip under his pillow and lay down again, forcing his eyes closed. But this time he wasn't scared for himself. He was scared for Lyra. She was in danger because of him. Footsteps echoed outside the door. A deep voice spoke. Check the human first. If he woke up, the supervisor will be executed. Evan's heart stopped. The footsteps outside the door grew louder, heavy, metallic, purposeful. Evan remained perfectly still inside the pod, his eyes half closed, chest rising in slow, controlled breaths. But his heart hammered so violently he feared the machines would pick it up. Through the crack of his eyelids, he saw a shadow move under the door. Then hissed, slid open. A tall officer entered, wearing deep black armor trimmed with red lines. His helmet had no faceplate, only a smooth, glowing surface that pulsed like a beating heart. This was no ordinary guard. This was a security supervisor. He stepped toward Evan's pod. Every step echoed like a countdown. Evan forced his muscles to stay limp. The officer scanned the machines. Neural activity. Stable, he said. His voice was cold and strangely calm. No signs of movement. Good. But then the officer leaned closer, too close, his masked face only inches from Evan's. Strange, he whispered. His neural signature spiked earlier. Someone accessed restricted files. Evan's blood froze. The officer rose and tapped a command on his wrist device. Bring Supervisor Lyra to interrogation hall, he ordered. Evan's eyes almost snapped open. Lyra, they were going to interrogate her. No dash worse. He remembered what the guard said earlier. If he woke up, the supervisor will be executed. Evan couldn't let that happen. The officer took one last long look at Evan, as if trying to sense something. Then he turned and left. Door closed. The moment it did, Evan sat up with a sharp breath. He grabbed the red chip and tucked it into the thin waistband of his hospital pants. His legs trembled as he stood, but he held onto the pod's frame. He had to move. He had to find Lyra before they killed her. The secret TLAL. Evan limped to the panel the drone had opened earlier. The maintenance hole was barely big enough for a small machine, but when he pressed his hands against the edges, the wall surface softened, changing shape like warm clay. It expanded. A hidden tunnel revealed itself. He stared at it in shock. This place, it's alive. He crawled inside. The tunnel was narrow, glowing with faint blue veins. The surface felt warm, like living skin. Behind him, alarms started ringing in the hallway. Security override activated. All personnel report immediately. They had discovered file tampering. They would search this room next. Evan forced himself to crawl faster. His arms burned. His legs shook. Still he pushed forward, dragging himself through the tunnel until he reached a service hatch. He pressed his ear against it. Voices. Alien voices. He waited until the hall grew quiet. Then popped the hatch open an inch. The coast was clear. Evan stepped out into a dim maintenance corridor filled with pipes and glowing symbols. His breathing was rough, but he couldn't stop now. He had to reach Lyra. The Discovery Aromani limped forward until he found a door labeled in Kyric script. Strangely, he understood it. Some distant memory translated it. Medical logs archive. SCO. Evan's breath caught. Something inside him whispered, "Look." He shouldn't waste time. But something here might explain why Lyra risked everything. For him, he pressed the panel. The door slid open. Inside were rows of floating holograms, files, recordings, medical scans. And on the far wall, a giant image of him. Evan stood frozen. It wasn't him now. It was a younger, stronger man. Commander Evan Raston, standing in a human combat suit. Confident, sharp, alive. A soft female voice echoed from a speaker. A recording. Lyra's voice. Evan slowly approached. The recording played. Day 142. The human's neural patterns remain unstable. But I can still sense something. He fights. He refuses to die. I admire that. Another file began automatically. Day 876. They ordered termination of the project. I refused. I said the human still had potential for recovery. They punished me, but I do not regret it. Then another. Day 4291. I don't know why I care. But when I look at him, I feel responsible. I don't want him to leave this world without ever knowing who he was. Evan felt something tighten in his chest. Lyra had spent years fighting for him, not because it was her job, but because something inside her refused to let him die. The last file began. If he ever wakes up, I hope he remembers kindness first, not fear. Evan swallowed hard. He couldn't let them hurt her. Not after everything she had done. He stepped backward and bumped into something solid. He turned. A security supervisor stood behind him. Not the same one. This one was taller, with brighter red armor. "You should not be awake," the alien growled. Evan's eyes flicked left. A door. Right. A corridor. Behind him, no escape. The supervisor raised a stun spear. "Come quietly, human. Your existence is over." Evan clenched his fists. Not today. Not before saving Lyra. He bolted toward the corridor. The supervisor roared and chased after him, and the escape truly began. Evan sprinted through the corridor, lungs burning, legs shaking like old wires barely holding together. Behind him, the security supervisor thundered forward, each step vibrating through the metal floor. "Stop, human!" the alien shouted. Evan Didn't stop, he couldn't. Lyra's life depended on him reaching her before the interrogation. Before they executed her for protecting him, he turned sharply into another hallway. But this one was different, colder, dark, silent, like a place not meant for patients or staff. A sign glowed faintly. Cloning and Replication Vault RCTD Evan. Froze cloning, replication? Why would a medical facility need this? Before he could move, he heard heavy footsteps approaching from both sides. He ducked inside the door. It slid shut behind him with a soft hiss. The room was gigantic, a circular chamber with dim blue lights and countless glass pods stretching. Into the darkness. Evan stepped forward slowly. Every pod held a body. Human bodies, all exactly like his. His breath caught. His legs nearly gave out. He walked to the nearest pod, hands shaking uncontrollably. Inside floated a man with the same face, same jawline, same scar above the eyebrow. Same as him. Evan whispered, voice cracking. What is this? He moved to the next pod. Same face. Next. Same. And next. Every pod held him, hundreds of copies. Some floating peacefully, some burned, some broken, some incomplete. Evan stumbled back, gripping his head. He wasn't the only survivor. He wasn't even the only Evan. He was one of many. The lights flickered. A quiet voice echoed behind him. It was only a matter of time before you saw this. Evan spun around ready to fight, but stopped when he saw her. Lyra. But not the Lyra he knew. This Lyra looked tired. Eyes red, uniform torn at the shoulder, as if she had struggled. She must have escaped her interrogation. She stepped closer, tears gathering in her glowing blue eyes. I didn't want you to see this room, she whispered. Not like this. Evan stared at her, voice shaking. What are these? What are they? Lyra looked at the pods with deep sadness. Prototypes. Failed attempts. Experiments to rebuild you. Evan felt his world collapsing. Rebuild me? What does that mean? I'm not the real one? Lyra stepped closer and placed a hand gently on his arm. You are real, Evan. Just listen. He pulled away. No. Tell me the truth. Lyra took a shaky breath. 20 years ago, you didn't just survive that attack. You died. The words hit him like a physical blow. Evan's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Lyra continued, voice soft and trembling. Your body was destroyed. We found only fragments, but your brain, a part of it still lived. A spark, a memory, enough to recreate neural patterns. She pointed at the pods. These were attempts to restore your mind into cloned bodies. All of them failed, except you. Evan stared at the rows of pods again. Some versions of him had twisted limbs. Some had no heartbeat. Some looked almost alive but empty. He turned back to Lyra. Why me? Why go through all this? Lyra's voice cracked. Because you were chosen. And because your mind resisted death. You fought harder than any human or alien we had ever seen. Evan whispered. Chosen by who? Lyra shook her head. I don't know. Someone high in the council ordered your reconstruction. They never told us the reason, but later, they changed their minds. Evan's eyes narrowed. They ordered you to keep me asleep. Lyra nodded. Double quotes, and when I refused, they decided to erase both of us. Evan felt anger rising in his chest, hot, powerful. The truth didn't break him. It ignited him. He stepped closer to her. So I'm, what? A copy? A clone? Lyra shook her head quickly. No, you are Evan Raston. Your memories, your thoughts, your instincts, they came from the original neural core we saved. You are not a copy, you are the continuation. Evan's breath shook. I don't remember anything. Lyra touched his cheek gently. You will. Your mind is healing. That is why they fear you. Something in your past is dangerous to them. Loud alarm suddenly blasted through the vault. Cloning vault breach detected. Security response en route. Lyra grabbed his arm. We have to leave now. But Evan pulled free. No, not until you tell me the rest. Why did the recording say they wanted him? Only him. Who are they? Lyra's face went pale. She whispered only one sentence. Evan, you weren't attacked by the Kyrix people. He froze. Lyra stepped closer. You were attacked by someone from your side. The words sliced through him like a blade. His knees almost buckled. My own people tried to kill me? Lyra nodded, eyes full of sorrow. That's the part they erased from your memory. Heavy footsteps thundered outside the vault. Lyra grabbed Evan's hand. There isn't much time. The door began to open. Lyra whispered urgently. You were not supposed to survive, Evan. You were supposed to stay dead. Whoever tried to kill you 20 years ago. The door fully opened. Security officers stormed in. Lyra finished her sentence. In a whisper Evan would never forget. They are still looking for you. The vault door crashed open with a violent roar. Red-armored Kyrix officers stormed inside, weapons glowing, scanning every corner of the cloning chamber. Their boots clanged against the metal floor, echoing like war drums. Evan tightened his jaw. Lyra grabbed his wrist. Don't fight them, she whispered urgently. Your body can't handle a fight, not yet. Evan knew she was right. He was weak. His legs trembled. His arms felt barely strong enough to hold his own weight. But the look in the officer's eyes, the cold, lifeless hatred, the way they stared at him like a malfunctioning machine. Something broke inside him. He refused to go back into a pod. He refused to be erased. He refused to let Lyra die for protecting him. Evan, please, Lyra whispered, voice shaking. We run, now. He nodded. They sprinted down the side of the chamber, past rows of his own lifeless clones. Memories, real or imagined, flashed in his mind like lightning. A battle, fire, a scream. His ship tearing apart, and something else, a symbol, a human symbol. One that didn't belong here. Evan stumbled as his mind sparked with more frustrated fragments. Lyra caught him, helped steady him, but there was no time. The officers saw them. There, one shouted. Stop the human. Capture the supervisor alive. Bolts of red plasma streaked past them, burning holes into the floor. Evan and Lyra ducked behind a fallen pod. Lyra's breath was sharp and desperate. They will kill us if we don't move. Evan peered over the pod. Red beams, shouts, more soldiers entering. They were trapped. Until Evan noticed something. His reflection in the pod's glass. His eyes, they were glowing faintly. A soft white light. Lyra, he whispered. What's happening to my eyes? Lyra looked, and her own eyes widened in shock. No, not this soon. Your neural core is waking up. What does that mean? She grabbed his face gently, voice trembling. Your mind wasn't only repaired. It was enhanced. Whoever rebuilt you added something new. Something powerful. Evan stared at his glowing eyes in the reflection. Why would they do that? Lyra whispered. They didn't. You blinked. What? You forced your mind to reconnect. Your neural core is self-activating. Evan, you're doing this because you are remembering something they tried to erase. Evan didn't understand. He barely had time to think. Plasma bolt exploded near their heads. Lyra screamed. Evan reacted without thinking. He pulled her close, shielding her with his body. Another bolt flew straight toward them, and the world exploded with light. White shockwave burst out of Evan's body like a ripple of pure force. Every piece of metal in the room shook. Pods shattered. Lights flickered. Officers were thrown backward across the chamber. Like rag dolls, the whole vault went silent. Evan stared at his trembling hands. I did that? Lyra touched his chest, breath shaking. You weren't supposed to activate this early. Your body is destabilizing. But what is it? Evan asked. What's happening to me? She swallowed. You weren't just rebuilt, Evan. You were upgraded. The human mind shouldn't survive what you did. But you kept fighting, even when your body was gone. She placed a hand on his cheek, and now, your willpower is waking things inside you that no alien or human has ever seen. More footsteps echoed in the hallway. The officers were recovering. Lyra grabbed Evan's wrist. We must get out before your body collapses. Evan felt dizzy. The light in his eyes dimmed. His legs almost gave out, but Lyra supported him, slipping. His arm over her shoulder. He leaned heavily on her. You saved me, he whispered. Lyra shook her head. No, you saved yourself. I only helped. They stumbled deeper into the vault until they reached a sealed emergency tunnel, dark, narrow, and filled with cold air. Lyra reached for the control panel. Hold on, she said. Evan leaned against the wall, breathing hard. He felt alive and dying at the same time. He looked at Lyra and whispered, Why do you care about me this much? Lyra froze. Her hand hovered over the panel. She turned slowly. Her voice was soft, shaking, almost breaking. Because, for 20 years, you were the only thing in my life that felt right. I watched you fight for life every day. I couldn't let you die. Not again. Their eyes met, her blue glow. His white flickered. In another time, maybe another world, he would have kissed her. But heavy footsteps sounded behind the door. No more time. The door blasted open. 3 elite officers charged. In Lyra gasped. Evan's hands began to glow again. But this time, it wasn't white. It was blue, Lyra's color. Their energies mixed. Connected. Evan felt her fear, her strength, her memories, as if they were his own. The officers raised their weapons. Lyra grabbed his hand. Evan, run! The tunnel lit up as the emergency pathway opened. Evan squeezed Lyra's hand. We run together. And the two of them disappeared into the darkness as the chamber exploded behind them. The emergency tunnel shook violently as Evan and Lyra ran through it, the floor trembling from explosions behind them. Every light flickered. Every pipe hissed. The entire facility felt like it was collapsing. Evan's legs threatened to give out, but Lyra kept him steady, her arm locked around his waist. Just a little more, she whispered. You're almost safe. Safe, what a strange word. Evan didn't feel safe, not with his memories broken, not with clones of himself floating in tanks, not with guards trying to erase him, not with glowing power bursting from his body, but he felt safe with her. They reached a heavy door at the end of the tunnel. Lyra pressed her hand against the scanner. The lock hummed, hesitated, then clicked open. Cold air rushed at them. Beyond the door was a small hangar chamber, half dark, filled with old escape crafts, round, silver capsules with scratched surfaces. Most were broken. Only one looked usable. Lyra stumbled toward it. We can escape in this, she said, trying to steady her voice. It's old, but it flies. Before Evan could answer, a loud metallic crash echoed behind them. The tunnel door split open. The security supervisor, the same ruthless one from the medical ward, stepped through, armor cracked but glowing brighter than before. His voice was a cold growl. You escaped too many times, human. And you, Supervisor Lyra, you betrayed your people. His hand glowed red with lethal energy. You will both be erased. Lyra stepped in front of Evan, shaking but standing tall. No, she said. I won't let you harm him. The supervisor lifted his arm. But Evan stepped forward. His eyes glowed blue and white mixed colors, blending like a storm. Leave her alone. You are malfunctioning, the supervisor hissed. Your neural core should be dormant. Evan's voice was calm, but not human calm. Something else moved inside him. You shouldn't have rebuilt me if you were scared of what I'd become. He lifted his hand. A pulse of white-blue light shot forward. The supervisor flew back and slammed against the wall, armor cracking like glass. He roared in pain but didn't fall. He stood again, angrier, You still do not understand, human. He shouted, "You are dangerous. You always were. That's why your own people tried to kill you." The words pierced Evan like a blade. Lyra gasped. "You knew?" she whispered. "You knew humans attacked him?" The supervisor glared. "Our council hides many truths. Your job was to obey, not question." Evan stepped forward again. "My people attacked me? Why?" The supervisor gave a twisted smile beneath his mask. "Because you uncovered something. You should not have. Something your leaders wanted buried." Evan's pulse quickened. "What did I uncover?" The supervisor raised his weapon. "Ask them if you survive." He fired. A bolt of red plasma shot toward Evan, but Lyra jumped in front of him. "No!" The blast struck her shoulder. She screamed as she collapsed. "Lyra!" Evan shouted. Kneeling beside her, her skin dimmed, her breathing shook. But she forced a weak smile. "I'm all right. Just go, Evan." He shook his head, voice breaking. "I'm not leaving you." The supervisor stepped forward again, charging for another strike. "You humans always get attached. So fragile, so foolish." Evan stood slowly, but he wasn't weak anymore. His eyes blazed bright. His chest glowed with the same blue-white energy. His veins lit up like living circuits. He didn't feel pain. He didn't feel fear. He felt awake. "You shouldn't have touched her," Evan said quietly. The supervisor swung his weapon. Evan caught it with one hand. The weapon shattered. The Coma. Supervisor stared, stunned. "That's impossible." Evan didn't punch him. He didn't kick him. He simply pushed. A small push. A wave of pure energy burst from Evan's hand, throwing the supervisor across the hangar. He hit the far wall so hard the ground shook. This time he didn't rise. Silence filled the chamber. Evan turned to Lyra and knelt again. Her injured shoulder glowed softly as he placed his hand over it. Her eyes widened. "What are you?" Blue light flowed from Evan's hand into her wound. Lyra gasped as the burn began to heal slowly. "Cell by cell." She whispered, trembling. "You can heal?" Evan didn't know how, but he nodded. Lyra reached up and touched his cheek gently. "You were never just a human," she whispered. "You were always something more." He helped her to her feet, but before they could reach the escape craft, a deep alarm echoed through the entire facility. "Warning, core meltdown. All personnel evacuate immediately." The battle had damaged the reactor. The place would explode in minutes. Evan helped Lyra into the craft and jumped inside after her. The door sealed shut with a heavy thud. Lyra pressed the ignition. The craft hummed, engines waking up. As it lifted off, Evan looked at her. "Where do we go?" Lyra gave a tired smile. "Anywhere the council can't reach us." The craft shot through the hangar tunnel and burst into open space. Stars filled the view. Dark, endless space. Freedom. Lyra leaned her head on Evan's shoulder, exhausted, but alive. Evan looked at the stars and at the red chip still warm in his hand. The recording echoed in his mind. They wanted him. Only him. Lyra whispered softly. "What will you do now?" Evan stared into the endless dark. "I'll find out who tried to kill me 20 years ago." He closed his fist around the chip, and why I was the only human they feared. The craft drifted into the starfield, leaving behind a secret that was never supposed to surface.